California Republican politicians are busy praising California Democrat politicians. Have they lost their mind? Well, what I'm about to tell you and reveal to you is really going to upset a lot of those California Republican politicians and a lot of powerful insiders in California politics, but it's something you really need to know. Why are Republicans busy trying to support, promote, and praise California Democrats that are doing so much damage? I'll tell you coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and this video update for you today is going to anger several Republican politicians who frankly need to be called out for playing footsie with the Democrats of this state rather than being fierce fighters to make a change and make a difference. Let me start out with the news that basically prompted me to want to call out some of these Republicans. Here's Politico. It's a story that broke late yesterday. It says California Senate Democrats choose North Coast lawmaker as next leader. And so, in each of the chambers of the state legislature, the assembly and the state senate, you've got the Republican caucus, which basically could meet in a phone booth. It's so small and irrelevant. And then you've got the Democrat caucus in both chambers. And so they get to meet amongst themselves and select who gets to be their leader. Sort of like in Washington, you elect a House Speaker of the majority party. So in the state senate, they've got the Senate pro tem. That is basically the speaker or the leader of the state senate. And that position has been held by San Diego Democrat liberal Tony Atkins. But the news yesterday is that with Tony Atkins leaving office, State Senator Mike McGuire, a Democrat from the North Coast, will now be the new state senate leader for the Democrats. And the transition will happen next year. Of course, Politico calls him a moderate. There's nothing moderate about any of these Democrats, okay? They're all supporting very bad and damaging policies that are hurting the average Californian. And so that's the story that broke yesterday. Democrats swap out one left-wing lunatic for another left-wing lunatic to be their leader in the state senate. What was surprising, though, is this post from Brian Jones. Brian Jones is the Republican state senate leader. He represents a district here in San Diego. I know him well. He's a likable guy on an individual level, but certainly not suited to be the leader of a opposition party, because it doesn't look like he's presenting a whole lot of opposition when he posts something like this. So he takes Senator Tony Atkins' statement, basically announcing that she's stepping down and Mike McGuire is taking over. And he says, quote, "Thank you to President Pro Tem at Tony Atkins for your hard work. Thank you for your hard work. It has been an honor to serve alongside a fellow San Diegan and lead the Senate together. Congratulations to I Like Mike on becoming the next pro tem. I look forward to collaborating to fix California." Oh, there are so many elements to that statement. First, you're thanking Tony Atkins for her hard work. What has she done? What have the Democrats actually done? Her hard work has resulted in bills that have released criminals early from prison. Prop 47, which Atkins was a big supporter of, which means catch and release, the crime wave. Tony Atkins has also supported the very failed Housing First, Homelessness Forever program that has wasted billions of taxpayer money while the homeless problem has only gotten worse on the streets. But her rich developer wife, Jennifer Lassar, has been a homeless consultant making a lot of money on these failed policies. Then you've got the spending spree, the higher taxes. You got Tony Atkins supporting abortion on demand, Prop 1 in the last election. Tony Atkins attacking parents and wanting to silence them when they want to get involved. There's nothing about Tony Atkins' agenda and all the hard work she's put into it that is worthy of a thank you. Now he says, it's been an honor to lead the Senate together. Brian Jones, are you kidding yourself? You've been leading the Senate. You haven't been leading the Senate. You couldn't even lead a Boy Scout troop, frankly. There's no relevancy to Republicans in terms of the legislative process. Oh, unless they're basically begging for scraps. More on that in a minute. And then he says, congratulations to the new liberal loony that's coming in. I look forward to collaborating. What did they call collaboration in World War II? Oh, that's right. The people that worked with the evildoers and held their tongue and didn't fight back. Now, you might say, okay, a fair person would say that Brian Jones is just being a gentleman. And you know what? Brian Jones is a nice guy. He's a gentleman. There's nothing wrong with him as a person. I think what he's doing here is revealing a problem in the Republican Party, one that I've talked about for years, but that you need to know about. And that is he's going along to get along. He's kissing up, sucking up. He doesn't want to rock the boat. He's hoping that maybe these folks will give him a couple scraps here and there. Now, you might say, well, that's just one tweet. It's welcoming a new person. It's thanking a previous person. But here's another statement from Senator Brian Jones, just from 8 weeks ago in June. Leader Jones praises Democrats on the San Diego City Council for acting on homeless encampments. Goes on and on and on to say thank you to the 5 members of the San Diego City Council, Democrats, for supporting the unsafe camping ordinance. Goes on and on to lick the boots of these Democrats on the city council. What's so interesting about this statement is the city of San Diego does not have a plan to deal with homelessness. In fact, all of these liberal politicians that he's praising all support the failed housing first scam that's wasting billions of dollars and resulting in people dying on the streets and the filth and the crime and the grime that you've got to deal with. He's throwing some praise where, frankly, it's not warranted, but it's a pattern here of not really standing up and fighting. And he's not the only one. If you take a look at this other guy, Richard Bailey, who, by the way, Brian Jones was trying to run for state senate in the 39th district on a suicide mission. So Richard Bailey is a mayor of Coronado, conservative little town in San Diego. Richard Bailey, when he wanted to run for office, he said this. Council member Carrie Downey and I had a wonderful meeting today with Assembly member Tasha Boner Horvath, who's a liberal Democrat from that assembly district. I think she's the 77th district. Anyway, not a matter. Tasha became Coronado's representative after last year's redistricting. While she is new to representing Coronado, she is very familiar with local government. Prior to serving in the state legislature, Tasha served on the Encinitas City Council, so she has a great understanding of housing issues and the added complexity of navigating any issue with the coast. Oh, just vomit. This is a Republican kissing up to a Democrat assemblywoman who, by the way, is in a district that in a couple cycles we may want to challenge and flip. He goes on and say, this is the first time meeting with Tasha. I must say how impressed I was with her detailed knowledge of inner workings of various state departments and her get it done attitude. Are you kidding me, Richard Bailey? This is the same guy that went to the Republican Central Committee for his failed doomed race for county supervisor, saying that he was the conservative. He was the fighter. Boy, with friends like this, who needs the Democrats at this point? You can read the rest. There's that smiling picture with her, with Tasha sitting there with the Republican. By the way, I did a search. I could not find a Republican getting praised by a Democrat in California. For good reason. Democrats aren't dumb. They're not cowards like these two idiots that are sitting there praising Democrats. And you wonder why we have a permanent super minority in California right now. Incredibly frustrating. But at Reform California, we are leading the fight to change this. I've said from the get-go that Reform California is not a get-along, go-along organization. In fact, we're willing to rock the boat in order to support principled fighters, conservative fighters in primaries, so that we can actually get an opposition party up in Sacramento. Some of these Republican incumbents that go up there, and again, my 80% friend is still my 80% friend, not my 20% enemy. But if we want to get out of the super minority, we got to engage these people and get them to do a better job and fight. But some of these folks that go up there, they're nice people, and they vote probably 80% of the time the right way. But in order for us actually to move the needle in California politics, we need a real opposition party. We need to give a voice to the voiceless in Sacramento. Even if we're not winning on each individual vote, people need to know that their voice is heard and that there are fighters up there representing those ideas and those solutions and those alternatives. We're not seeing that happening right now. We see a lot of timidity in Sacramento. And I really break it down into a couple reasons why. Number one, we have a human capital crisis, a workforce crisis. Nobody usually with talent is going to want to run for these positions up in Sacramento because you're treated like crap. You go up to Sacramento as a Republican, your bills are not going to be acted on. And basically, anyone who's talented doesn't feel as though they're moving the needle. Again, I've always said, you don't measure someone by whether they pass a bill necessarily, but whether they are moving the needle politically and moving the fight, changing minds, getting people to convert and support our point of view, stopping bad things from happening through public pressure. So first and foremost, we have a challenge with, we don't have the best talent sometimes in terms of who runs for these offices. because they're treated so poorly. So we have a talent crisis. Second, we've got some people up there who, instead of wanting to fight, they're there to go along to get along because their next job depends upon playing nice. The people in that camp are smart. They've got talent, but they're not using that talent to aggressively fight and to really try to move the needle. They're there for that next job, either running for a higher office within the state, maybe the board of supervisors back home, maybe for Congress. Several of these state legislators on the Republican side, they're just waiting for the congressional person above them to drop dead or run for something else or retire because they want a coveted congressional seat. So not rocking the boat, going along to get along, playing, kind of safe is a good career move for them. And if all else fails, they can get a lobbyist job. I can tell you several incumbent members of the legislature right now that just hang out with lobbyists. And they're doing a lot more for the lobbyists than they are for concerned voters back in the district. Chad Mays is a perfect example of this. He was the Republican leader of the state assembly back in 2015, 2016. He voted for the gas tax. Yeah, a Republican leader voting for the gas tax. He then left the Republican Party. He's now a lobbyist. He contributes to Democrats routinely. When he was in office, he was contributing to Democrats and playing footsie. This guy was the Republican leader. Do you see a pattern here? You understand that some of these folks are con artists. They say that they're fighters. They're going to change Sacramento. They're going to fight to try to move the needle in California. But when they go up there, they're seduced by the swamp. They get sucked in by the culture. And they say, well, not rocking the boat is important because I want to have job security. Now, the third type of person going up there is a legitimate fighter. And we like what they're doing. They just need more help. They need more guidance. They need more resources. They're not going to get resources from the lobbyists. That's why groups like Reform California exist, to try to support principled reformers and give them resources to expand our movement in the state. People like Kevin Kiley, a fighter who went from the assembly into Congress. People like Bill Lasaley. These are fighters who are doing a great job taking Democrats to task and frankly getting a lot of heat from their Republican colleagues for doing so. You need to know this. This is the truth about where we are with California Republicans, elected Republicans in some cases. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of homework. Number one, we need your help at Reform California to support principled conservatives. Our voter guide has really moved the needle in a lot of these primaries, as well as has helped flip seats statewide. If you can contribute, we need your help at reformcalifornia.org. That's reformcalifornia.org. So that's step one, join our movement. Make sure you sign up at reformcalifornia.org so you do get our voter guide and so that here's a list of principled conservatives in primaries that we really need your help to get across the finish line. Second, I urge you to watch Republican social media feeds, watch their statements, and if they start praising Democrats, sucking up, kissing up, call them out. When you see them at a Republican event, call them out. Call their office. Tell them that you won't donate or volunteer if they do that again. Again, I'm not trying to be impolite, but I can tell you right now, until I start seeing Democrats collaborating or cooperating or coordinating with Republicans and praising Republicans, then there is no need for Republicans to kiss up and praise Democrats at every turn. There's no need for that at all. And it's not just these tweets and posts, it's actual legislation. It's actually not speaking out when bad bills are pushed through. And so call out Republicans who engage in this sort of bad behavior. And third, I need you to get actively involved. Maybe you should run for office. Again, people say, I don't know if I'm qualified to run for office. If you've got a backbone, if you have integrity, if you will be willing to fight for what you truly believe in, you are infinitely better than a lot of folks that are in politics on a professional basis right now. And so if we're going to take back California, we have to first start by taking back Republicans. Let me close on this. I see people in life in three categories: sinners, saints, and savables. Former Assembly member Jan Goldsmith gave me this way of thinking about people in politics, and he's absolutely right, by the way. I consider most Democrats, if not all of them, sinners. There's nothing we can do to change their mind. Democrat politicians, not the voters, but Democrat politicians. They're going to be sinners. There's nothing that we can do to change their point of view. I consider a lot of principled fighters and reformers to be saints. And then there are the savables. Brian Jones is a savable. Absolutely. I think what he needs to hear, though, is from more of his constituents who say, we didn't send you to Sacramento to play footsie with the Democrats. We sent you to Sacramento to lead the fight. Get out of the insider bubble. Start playing for keeps. They need to hear from you. And so a savable should not be written off. It's someone we need to engage, someone we need to, in some cases, discipline. And if they move in the right direction, support. But also the savables tend to be fighters when other fighters are added. So maybe Brian Jones would be more of a fighter if we had 5 or 6 more members of the Assembly or the state Senate fighting alongside of him. So don't write these folks off just yet, but don't let them off the hook. And that's where we could use your help at Reform California. So go to that site, contribute, sign up to be a volunteer, sign up to get the voter guide, share the news that's up there. Again, I didn't want to record this video because it's pretty blunt. It calls out some people that, generally speaking, are good people. But if we want to make a difference in California, you need to know the truth as to why we have a super minority and what we need to do to light a fire under their feet to get them to fight more aggressively to try to change the course of this state. Until next time, this is Carl DeMaio with Reform California. Thanks for watching. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.